Hey, hey. Let me know if you can hear me. Can y'all hear me okay? Can y'all hear me? All right, thank you. Hey, Josh. All right, good, good. Thanks, Brian. We're going to get started in a few. Just waiting on our guests. As soon as they press that button, we're going to get started, all right? You're going to have to give me some of that cheesecake, Brian. Hey, welcome. Come on in. All right. What's good, everybody? We're going to go ahead and bring our guests in. We're going to get started. Hello.
Hey, Eugenia.
Hey, welcome.
How's it
Welcome,
going?
welcome. Good. How are you?
Doing good.
Good.
Good. Thank you
Good.
so much for
Excited
joining
to be
me.
here.
I'm good. I'm glad.
I appreciate the invite.
Huh?
Appreciate the invite. I'm humbled.
Of course.
I'm
I had to
humbled.
see y'all in. I see y'all every Sunday. I'm like, they so cute. Y'all get on my nerves.
Thank you.
Okay. So y'all ready?
Ready to go.
Y'all ready? All right. So what's good, everybody? It's your girl Gina here. Thank you for joining me for Relationship Friday. As you can see, I have my special guest, Crystel and Corey Ross. They are our newlyweds, so they're going to give us their point of view on relationships and their marriage. I think you all caught the show. As you know, you all do not know the questions.
No, we don't.
We don't.
Some of the questions are just questions that I had. Some questions are that from other people who may, just want to know a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Okay.
So it's nothing that will bring you all embarrassment. This is a safe place, so don't worry. I got y'all, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you for having us.
All right. Absolutely. Thank you all for coming on. So we're going to start just, if you all could just introduce yourself. I already know I told them who you all were, but introduce yourself.
Okay, I can go first. I'm Crystel Ross. I'm Corey's wife here. I'm a medical assistant. I am an esthetician. And hey, I'm just fun loving.
My name is Corey. I'm her husband. And I am a sales consultant and an entrepreneur.
Okay. All right. So tell us, how did you all meet? Let's get into this love story. How did you
right. Let's get into the nitty gritty.
You want to start?
Yeah, I can start. Okay, so we met via Facebook dating.
Okay.
Yep. I clicked on, well, I guess you could say I joined Facebook dating, and then I think like a day or two later is when I saw Corey's profile, and then he sent the message to me, and it just started from there. And maybe you want to tell them the message you sent?
So first of all, I wasn't even like intentionally looking for anybody to date. I actually just was like at a place in my life where I was like doing a reset and starting all of my social media over. And I guess when I had redid all of my social media accounts, it asked if I was single, and I put yes, and it automatically put me in the Facebook dating world. I don't even remember signing up for it. So I just would randomly get all these links saying you're a match with this person, you're a match with that person, and that's kind of like what happened. Like one day I signed in my account, I had a profile picture of Crystal, and it said you were a match with her. And normally I click and look through the profiles, and a lot of the times, for me, I was looking for a wife. So some of the accounts that said that I was a match, I could kind of tell the women wasn't gonna be a match. So I just like leave them alone. But it was something about her profile. She was smiling, she was glowing in all of them. She talked all about God, which was a trait that I was looking for. And her pictures matched. Like she wasn't half naked in all of them. She looked like a lady. It wasn't like basically her profile didn't say one thing and her pictures showed another thing. So I could kind of discern that, she was a lady. So I sent her a message saying, hey, listen, I know that you're really about Jesus because you're glowing in all your pictures. And if you're an only girl. Yeah, if you give me the opportunity, I'd love to see if I can add to that glow you got. And she responded back, was like, oh, so you think you smooth. So it kind of started there.
It started there.
We was vibing just through conversation through the inbox. And after about a whole day, I was like, let me get your number, like, because we have a really good conversation.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of hit off from right there.
Okay, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with online dating. A lot of people think online dating is a little taboo, but a lot of times, like I was telling my parents, I was like, well, online dating is no different than meeting somebody in person. You don't know who you get. All of them crazy.
Yep.
You just have to kind of pick out the weeds out so you get to the meat of everything. So that's good that you all met that way, and it was just something different. And also online dating kind of forces you to learn each other, especially when you're
It does.
Right away.
Another thing that's unique is we only dated for 3 months and got engaged.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, sometimes when you know. So on that note, how did you know? Outside of the, certain what you just told me, how did you know that she was the one?
So for me, I knew that Crystal was the one because she challenged me right away. Like, like on our first date, I knew I was gonna marry her because I was so used to like being rejected by women. Actually, like I was heavily rejected a lot when I was single. Like, by me being a man of God and everything like that, it's almost like I could never lead with actually being that man of God. Like when I did, women would think I'm weird. Women would, or if I was treating them to a certain caliber like a man should, because they were so used to dysfunction or dating the wrong type of man, I would get rejected. So over the years, I started changing that part of me. Like I would hide or feel ashamed that I'm saved, for a man, because that was something I got rejected about. And so I got used to because I've been doing okay financially in life for a man, I started leading with that. I started leading with trying to impress women with how much money I got. And so I tried to do that with her basically, and it backfired like crazy. So, and she basically like told me on the date, I don't really want to see you again. Look, I don't really want to see you again. I'm like, what I do? She was like, I mean, you just like all braggadocious and all seem like you're just trying to like impress me with your money. And for the whole week before we got to meet, all you did was talk about God. And I didn't see that man tonight, right? I saw a whole different person, but I can look in your eyes and tell you're a different man than what you're showing me right now. So I feel like you're a phony, and I don't really want to see you again. And that kind of cut.
She's your representative and not your true self.
Yeah, that kind of cut me a little bit. I was sitting there like thinking about everything, and we was vibing up until that point. So I'm like, wait, this like actually a really good catch for me. So what can I do to kind of get this date turned back around? So I just apologized. Like, listen, you know what? You're right. I'm sorry. I did kind of show you a whole different person. But a lot of why I do that is because I got so used to women rejecting the side I showed you first. And
Right.
I said, if you could just kind of look past that, I could really, and give me the time to really show you the man I really am. And from there, it was just all she wrote. Like, I was able to be my genuine, true self. She was ready to handle the type of love I was ready to give her as a man. And
Okay.
it just was amazing from there. So.
Okay, good. So I would say, fellas, let that be a lesson to everybody. A
Yeah.
woman, or even for the guys, come as yourself. Do not bring your representative. Come as your true self. Because if you turn out to be something that you are not, your authentic self, that things like that will happen. It is a turnoff for most people.
Yeah.
When you're not
That
being
was like
honest.
that brought actually a lot of peace for
Yeah.
me. Like literally,
Yeah.
like on our first date, it's crazy because most times women want to feel safe with a man, but
Exactly.
men actually want to feel safe too, right? Women
Absolutely.
bring safety in a different way. Like as far as like somebody like me that was doing okay financially, it's like Crystal wasn't after me for money or for me to just take care
Right.
of her. So when I
Right.
saw that, that brought a lot of peace to me. Like, wait, okay, like she not impressed with how much money I make. She just really want like a good guy, somebody that love God, and that's really like who I am. And that part of me I always had to hide. So it brought a whole lot of peace in my life from there, and it
Yeah.
just opened up. It opened me up to like really trusting her with everything. Like when I tell you I trust my wife, I trust my wife, and I never ever up until this point felt that way about no other woman I ever met in my life.
Okay. All right. All right, well, Miss Crystal. I know he said all this good stuff, but how did you know that he was the one?
For me, it was really about a peace from God and really seeking God to have the right make the right decision. Because I
Mm-hmm.
believe as the woman, um, we have the opportunity to choose. And for me, it was more so like getting in a quiet place, seeking God and saying, God, okay, I have this opportunity and I just want to be in a place of making the right decision because this ultimately represents the rest of my life, my future. So I just got in a quiet place, a secret place between me and God and just sought after that feeling of peace. And that's what I had. And a lot of people don't know, but it was like I'm gonna share it. But it was like I was in a tough place for me as far as making that decision because I had the opportunity I was like engaged by someone else. I had two engagements at the same time, I guess you could say. Someone else proposed to me at the same
Okay, girl.
time. Okay, so it was like it was a little tough on my end because of that. But
Uh-huh.
I ultimately knew in my heart that Corey was the one for me. And I knew that I made the right decision. And I just got in a quiet place. I sought after God and I prayed and I, just said, God, okay, let me just see what's the right decision for me. And the whole time I knew Corey was the one for me because of that peace I had in my heart and in my spirit. So I really think that it's just a matter of knowing who fits you, their characteristics, and what matches your spirit and what matches who you are as an individual. Sometimes a lot of times people will look at what their family thinks or what their friends thinks or time. That was a big thing because my previous relationship I was with that person for like 2 years. So I had got fought with things like that with, okay, I know this person a little longer, so that was a challenge. I got fought with different things with, people telling me about the I guess you could say the career paths and different things that he had because my previous person that I was in a relationship was a lawyer, and I had a lot of people, family and friends. So you need to marry that person. He's a lawyer. But deep down in my side, I knew Corey was the one for me. I knew he showed me from up front that he could care for me as a husband and take care of me, and we would laugh and have good times. And I knew what God was telling me if I chose the other person, what I would feel like. I knew I would feel like I would feel alone versus when I'm with Corey, I feel like I have my best friend with me. So I had different challenges for me on my end as far as making a decision, but I knew Corey was the one for me just because of how we interacted with each other. We had the same goals. We loved God. We had great conversation when we was making future plans. We like 1 month in making future plans, and it was like it was all just coming together. And you know, that just really was the thing for me, and just really just knowing what God is saying, and just really just taking that time to say, okay, God, this is the things that I desire. This is the things that I want, and God did just that. And also, I also received a prophetic word from Apostle. Her name is Apostle Brunette Cross. She's my other mom, and she prophesied to me that God was going to bring my husband at a specific time, and literally God brought Corey at that specific time that she prophesied. So it was so many different things that came my way to let me know that Corey was the one for me, and that's when I just rolled with it. I rolled with God. Okay.
Honestly, that's the best thing to do, is to put on your chips and put it on God. It's one of those things when you lay before your request before God, when people don't understand, you have to be careful what you ask for, because you could have said, Lord, give me a husband, and you got a husband, you be like, can you take him back? I think
yes.
But when you have specific details of what you're looking for, God will give you what you're looking for, but He'll also give you what you need.
Yeah.
Even though the lawyer and all this other stuff, the status
exactly.
looks nice, but it's not what you needed. So so what you have is what God was like, this is where your safe place is. This is where your heart will be taken care of. This is where He will provide for you. He's going to give you everything that you have on this list and then some.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. That's very good.
Very good. I want to add that so she had got prophesied to before I ever met her that I was going to show up, and I started attending her church with her, and I think maybe like 2 months after I started attending, Apostle also prophesied to me as well. So she prophesied to me and told me that it was crazy because I was feeling like Crystal was the one, and I actually didn't want to move fast because both of us actually been married before. Mm-hmm. So from past experiences, it's like I moved fast the other times. It didn't really take enough time to see the fullness of the person. So it was like, all right, I know I want to marry this woman. I'm gonna date her 1 year. That's what I was telling myself. I'm gonna date her 1 year, and then I'm gonna ask her to marry me. But then it was crazy because after maybe two months, almost 3 months of dating her, I visited at the church. The apostle prophesied to me and literally said, God said, don't wait a year. I was like, what? Okay. She's like, God said, don't wait a year. If you wait a year, you're going to lose out. You're going to miss God. And for a second, I'm kind of was not receptive of it. I was like, man, whatever. Because if whatever's for me, it's going to be for me no matter what. Right. So, but I felt what she was saying was real because nobody knew I was telling myself I'm going to wait a year. Right. And so she was all in my prayer life with me. So it was a couple of days later, I was praying about it, okay, God, I believe what she's saying. But what does she mean by if I wait a year, I'm a miss out. And so at that time, I didn't know Crystal had another proposal. I didn't even know none of that. It was a few days later, I just heard the Holy Spirit say, I was literally working about her job that she was working at the time. And Holy Spirit said, go up to her job and propose to her on her lunch break. So it was in the middle, literally, it was in the middle of the pandemic.
Yeah.
I
couldn't go get a ring or anything like that. So I proposed to her without a ring, but it was romantic. I went and got this big,
he had a big
bouquet,
beautiful flower.
all of that. We married me. All of that.
Sometimes it's the little things.
Yeah.
It's not, you don't have to be so lavish all the time. It's the little things that will make a woman just oh, I just love you too, boo. It's just, and the fact that you put thought into it, you thought enough of her to, one, be obedient, and then two, to actually pursue it.
Yep.
Because most people will be afraid to date somebody, to be dating, and then turn around and say, will you marry me within a 3-month time frame? But sometimes when you know, but also, I also believe that God repeats himself. So anytime he gives a word to somebody, he'll also repeat himself to confirm that word. So I'm glad you all was able to get that confirmation, because if it wasn't God, you would definitely know. We'll be having a whole different topic conversation today.
Yeah.
This is what we like the Newlyweds. This is why I got divorced, because I didn't listen, Jesus.
So that's what's different on the other situations. We had a peace And this
Yeah.
time it's prophetic word that was applied to it. And that never happened in none of the other situations.
Yeah. Yeah. So this next question is more of a, this individual is actually planning a wedding. So they just had a question. They want to know, how did you deal with the stress of planning a wedding?
You want me to answer that? I think, in all honesty, for me, planning a wedding was not stressful at all. I had literally no stress. Everybody that was a part of the wedding really participated, came together, and I literally didn't have no stress as a bride planning a wedding. So I guess I really wouldn't be able to answer that question because I feel like I didn't have a whole lot of stress. I mean, I just did it. I, like my sister, you know, we came together and we planned things, and I was blessed to really have great people in our wedding to like participate. They didn't give me no backlash, or they didn't give me a hard time about what they didn't want to do. It was just so smooth and easy going. So I guess if I had to say anything, just choose people to be a part of your wedding that would really be helpful to you and really be team you. You know, not really coming with their own decisions and their own feelings of how it should be or how this should go. Just people that's gonna add to your wedding and make it, I guess, simple and easy for you, because we really didn't have a whole lot of we didn't have a hard time at all.
I also too, I also believe another reason why there wasn't as much stress for it is because, I mean, 100% our connection was divine. My wife had her dream wedding, and we literally, money was just coming our way. So I think that's part of why she wasn't stressed out, is because we had all the funds to plan her dream wedding in 4 or 5 months. So that's why it really wasn't a lot of stress behind it. Like, even the people that was in it, if they couldn't afford to do something, we had the money to pay. You know, like all of my groomsmen, as their gift, I paid for their tux to be in my wedding. So like all of that made the transition also as more smooth. So it was like literally divine, like money. God was giving us money so we could have the wedding exactly the way she wanted it.
Yeah, because weddings are definitely expensive.
Yeah.
On time, what you're trying to do. I will say, don't interject. Don't allow other people's opinion about what you want for your wedding.
Yep, because that can make it hard.
Yeah, because a lot of times people are envisioning their own wedding.
Yep.
That's
true.
Yeah.
So you definitely want to have a plan. Surround yourself with folks who have your vision,
yes,
and that are willing to execute your vision of what you want, but also have people in your ear who are willing to tell you, hey, that's a little bit too much.
Yeah.
You know, you never want a guest person around you. You want some honest folk to tell you, you know, you don't need that. You know, that's you know, I know you want everybody on your list to come, but however, that adds up too when you're trying to pay for food and all that other stuff. Yeah. So just be particular, because unless they want to pay for their plate, they can't come.
Yeah, you definitely gotta lay it out, because I had a book and I literally laid everything out. Like I laid out the colors, we laid out the people who we wanted to come, we laid out what we wanted to take place. So you kind of can just plan, and you can fit that towards your budget, and you can fit that towards your planning. You know, and for some people, you know, if you're not a person that likes planning things, then of course, you know, you will have somebody as a wedding planner, or if that makes it easier for you. I mean, I didn't have that because I'm a person that I like to plan things. I like to do, you know, things how I want it done. I know how I see my vision, so I know how I want it. So I really didn't need like a wedding planner. I pretty much just worked with my sister, and we did this and that, and we just came together and made it happen. But if you're not a person that plans and it stresses you out, of course, then from there you would bring help in that you need.
Right.
To make it easier.
Right. My dad is on here. He said, hi, y'all.
Hey, Pastor.
Hey, Pastor.
And thank you, Jess Carver. I'm trying my best. I'm getting the hang of this interview stuff. Okay? All right. So the next question. So now that you all have been married for 1 year, your second wedding anniversary is coming. It's approaching.
Yep, October.
So how have you all adjusted to married life? Now that you've been in it for 1 year, you kind of marinated a little bit. How do you all feel 1 year later?
I think I think that I feel good, but I think that this year it's kind of like saying this is our second year in a sense, because I feel like this year going into year 2 was a little more challenging than the first year. I feel like the first year it was like, woo, we partying, you know what I'm saying? Like it's like everything like fun and hey, we kicking it, whatever. But the second year was like you getting down to the nitty gritty. This is real life. Life is lifing. Okay, as my cousin was saying. So I think this year was more challenging than before, in my opinion. But we've been hanging in there. We've been rolling with each other. We've been doing what we got to do, and we've been a team together. So that's what I would say.
Okay. So what are some of the struggles that you can talk about that you may have had in your first year of marriage that you were able to work through?
Mm-hmm. So I think the biggest struggle for us is, I mean, essentially, the Bible says 2 is becoming 1, right? Mm-hmm. And so, my wife had her idea of how marriage is supposed to look, and I had my idea about
yeah, 2 hits up and down.
Right.
So we both had our own idea of how marriage should look, and so like now, right? It's both of us having to come to a place of humbling ourselves to say, okay, what is it that God actually wants from us to have in this marriage? Because it's really got to be one vision at this point. Now you got your vision, mm-hmm. I got my vision, and so it was kind of like that. That's what we found out. It's like we got to come together and have one plan so we can move in the same direction.
Right.
Essentially, we know that God essentially united us together for purpose, mm-hmm. right? Like we have a purpose for our marriage, and marriage is a ministry, and so now that we know that, it's like, okay, now we got to develop a plan around that leads us into that path so we can achieve and gain everything that God has for us. Right. So I think that's been the biggest challenge. We've been doing a lot of adjusting. I think the other thing is Crystal and I both have different communication languages, right? Like when conflict is arising, we had to learn how to kind of get through those things. And even though it's only been going on to 2 years, we've grown tremendously in that. Yeah. We've grown tremendously. Like, I'm going to be transparent, right? I'm a very aggressive person in my speech. And I don't have a filter a lot of the time. So, brother was cursing a lot when I would get angry in the beginning. And it really ate at her, right? She'd be like, why are you cursing at me? Why are you doing all this and that? And sometimes she even though she doesn't curse at all, right? She would speak in like a condescending way that would trigger me. And so over time, I'm like, you know what? I'm supposed to be a man of God. I gotta learn to bridle my tongue. Yeah. And so now, right, I don't curse out. I don't, when I get mad or I'm upset or whatever, I let her know, look, right now it's not the best time for us to talk. I need a moment. Right. I need a moment. Let me cool down, because I don't want us to be so at each other where we go to sleep mad or we're not fixing the problem. So we've grown tremendously in that. So like now we've got to the place now where if we are angry at one another, we make sure we resolve it before we go to sleep and stuff like that. So that took a lot of maturity on both of our parts, because even like I said, she could be very stubborn. People be like, oh, your wife is the sweetest thing. I'm like, y'all don't live with her. So I get to see her in her fullness. Everybody else, I'll see her in her representativeness.
I think another thing, like, too, that I've learned, like, going into year 2, one of my biggest challenges when we first got married was just learning how to budget and maintain finances. And I've learned a lot with Corey, because before we got married, I would just spend my money, spend, whatever, whatever I wanted to go buy, I'm buying it. And then, once I met Corey, I've learned how to budget my money. I've learned how to save money. I've learned how to take care of the things that's supposed to be taken care of first versus the things that could wait. So that's been one of the challenges going into our year 2 too, is just getting on one accord with that finances. Like, because Corey was like, no, we need to save this money. And I was like, no, I want to spend this money. I want to go buy a purse. I got some shoes. I want to go get my hair done. you know, so, and me doing that, you know, it just, well, where we could have had this amount of money saved at year 2, we got this amount of, a less amount of money saved at year 2. So finances definitely has been a challenge going into year 2, because just like he said, getting on one accord, because if you're not on one accord, you will find yourself in a bad situation trying to dig yourself out of a hole. And you know, that has been a challenge for us, just getting on one accord financially. So I had to learn as a wife to just follow the lead of my husband, and you know, learning that all the things, the material things that I feel like I wanted at the time, it's not necessary. Like, as we get older, we trying to save money, we trying to invest money, we trying to get on a good path where we can do things that we want to do in the future. And you know, I feel like that has been one of the things that we've been getting on one accord with and going into this second year.
Right. Yeah. And just to kind of go over everything that you all said, communication is everything within a marriage. And you do have to be mindful of the words that comes out of your mouth, especially when it's pertaining to your spouse.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times people outside, their words don't mean anything. But if this person who is supposed to love me, the words it's kind of like a knife and just stab the crap out of me. You know what I mean? So yeah. So it's good that you all learn how to actually speak to each other, because that'll help your relationship in the long run. Because a lot of relationships do fall apart based on what comes out of here.
Yeah.
You know, and as you said, instead of you building each other up, you're tearing each other down. So, I mean, that's something that you definitely do learn over time. And then because what may have worked in a different relationship, because some other relationships may have been very toxic.
Yeah.
It caught you. You did all the cussing and all that stuff, and you did all that I'm gonna cut you with my tongue type deal. And when you get with somebody who may not operate that way, it's like, wait a minute, now you've all taken that step back, and you learn how to communicate with each other without tearing each other down. And a lot of times you don't have to raise your voice to get your point across. You know, sometimes keeping it here sometimes says, I said what I meant what I said.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right.
And it'll also allow for your mate, whether it may your husband or your wife, to actually hear what you said. If you're up here, I don't hear you. I just shut you completely out. At this point, I don't want to talk to you. Like he said, I'm about to go over here, but I'll talk to you when I'm ready.
Mm-hmm.
But if we keep it in a set tone, and I'm more able to receive whatever it is that you have to say to me without me actually getting angry about what it is that you have to say. And finances is something else in relationships, because that you know, money, they say make the world go around type deal. But having healthy finances is also a good thing. But I will say, you're gonna have to budget for her hair now, okay? We are women. You want her looking at the certain way, you're gonna have to put that money to the side, brother, okay? And make sure that she is so that's good. I'm so happy to hear all these things from you, how you have grown as a couple. Is real encouraging. Yeah, because a lot of couples don't really know how to have a healthy relationship, because it may be something that they may have never seen before. Right. So to know that you all are able to come together like that, that's very good. It's good to my ears. Very good.
I want to say one thing you had actually mentioned about how sometimes you carry things over into the other relationships. That's exactly the reason why I was communicating with her the way I was communicating with her, is because in other relationships, you know, I wasn't heard or respected as a man, right? And that was an area that was broken in me. So when I first got married to her, even though it was something so little, some of the things she was doing was like a videotape for me. So I would communicate with her like she was like an ex, you know, and God actually revealed that to me. God was like, you know, you need to heal from this. That's something you didn't all the way heal from while you were single. And so you need to seek some healing in that area in order for you to be able to properly speak to your wife. And I started reading like a lot of scriptures on anger, you know, like Proverbs 15:1, where it talks about a soft answer turneth away wrath, the grievous words stir up anger, you know. Yeah. I started reading like all of those type of things and meditating on them, and it began to bring healing in my life. And then I started to speak to her differently, even when I'm upset. You know, even when I'm upset, I manage that now, because the thing that I realize is when you're the man in a relationship, right, I understand what it means to be the head. That means essentially I set and control the tone of how the relationship goes. So even if I'm upset, right, I shouldn't be like this super firecracker, because
Right.
I need to demonstrate my tongue and practice and all that if I want her to be like that with me. And so I started to set that example, and then that changed our communication.
Good, good. So let me just say to the audience, if you all have any questions that you would like to ask, feel free to ask them, and we'll bring them forward. If you want to come on with us, I think I could bring on one extra person just so you can ask a question. Now you got to get off, but I'm gonna bring you on so you can ask your question and they'll answer whatever it is you have. So don't be afraid to hit that button, okay? All right. So the next question is, what have you come to appreciate about each other that you didn't when you were first married?
That's a good question, actually.
That is a good question.
I think the thing I appreciate most about my wife and being married to Crystal is her loyalty. I'm actually about to get a little emotional, because although we are being transparent, we're not 100% talking about everything. The second year of our marriage has been very, very, very tough. Very, very tough.
Okay.
Like Crystal could go back when she, when we were dating and all of that. Like, although like family and people were telling her, "Oh, date the lawyer," because they thought I was broke and I really wasn't. We just never had a conversation about how much money I really got. So, when I met her, I was in a way better financial position than I am now. So there's been a lot of life-changing things that have happened for me. Like last year I had COVID and was sick for almost 3 months.
Yeah, maybe more than that.
Yeah, and so I was out of work for 3 months. We had to live off our savings. We exhausted all of that.
And I wasn't working at the time.
And then she wasn't working because she was in school. And so I'm so used to a woman dipping out on the brother. You know what I'm saying? When the money changed, then I got wrongfully terminated. I went back. I healed from COVID. Went back to work. And was all right. I'm gonna work all this overtime. I'm gonna work, grind out, get my bag back. And I got fired from my job wrongfully. So that put us in a really bad spot financially. And I'm sorry, Crystal been rocking with me. And I can't, I'm so grateful for that, because she been rocking with me. She been standing by my side. She been there every day. And I never had that. And so that's the most thing I appreciate about my wife, is that she's still by my side. And I feel like our second year has just been just a testing period. I know we coming out of that now. God is getting ready to restore me. And I guess I kind of needed to go through that, because nobody can tell me nothing ill about my wife, because I learned her character over this last year. I learned her real true character, and a whole lot of women don't stick by their man when they go through financial situations, and she stuck by me. And so all that do is reinforce and make me want to really give my wife the world, And I'm glad that my wife trusts me, and she still sees me as the same man that she said I do to. She ain't treating me no differently. She ain't disrespecting me, none of that. And so that is the number one thing I admire about my wife.
Okay.
So,
I think for me, I would have to say one of the things that I appreciate most about Corey that I probably didn't see as well in the beginning was just his strength, like his aggressiveness. At first, I used to be like, wow, Corey is really aggressive. And I don't think that I saw it in a good way that I see it now. But now I see it more like as a strength. Like he's very much so a protector. Like he protects me like I've never been protected before. Like he covers us. He protects our home. He makes sure I'm okay. Like I know, like I could be in moments where I may not want to deal with something. I be like, oh, I know my husband got me. He gonna take care of it. He gonna, I know he gonna speak well for us. He gonna do what needs to be done. And at first I didn't see that as a strength, but now I see it as a strength. So now for me, it's more so learning how to appreciate the things about your spouse versus trying to take it away from them or remove it or change them who they are. But see the strengths in your spouse. See the things about them that you can say, wow, God, this is actually a blessing. It's a blessing to have a strong husband. It's a blessing to have a husband that's gonna stand up for you, or cover you well, or make sure you're okay, or you don't have to worry about if you in a room and your husband not gonna respond or speak well for you. You know you got a husband that's gonna that loves to actually exalt God and just stand strong and firm. And at first I didn't see that. At first I was like, wow, is my husband like too aggressive? Can I really handle this? But God had to show me, like, I bought you a husband that's gonna cover you well, that's gonna take care of you, that you know got your back, that you know can respond in a way that needs to be responded at that moment. So that's what I appreciate about my husband. Like, no matter what we got going on, he makes sure he covers us. He makes sure we're taken care of. And that's always going to continue to be my prayer, like to never try to take away from who he is or who God made him to be, but just be there to support him, be there to add to be that blessing that God called me to be as a wife.
Good. Yeah. So when we make our vows that sickness and health and rich or poor, like this is what it means. What happens if my husband or if my wife should financially fall apart, in a sense? Will you still be there?
Right.
And that's the true test. Are you with me for the right reason?
Mm-hmm.
You know, unfortunately, we see in society that a lot of women, or men for that matter, will leave somebody because the finances are not where it will be. But if your heart is in the right place, you all are able to build together and actually come out of that thing, working together, be that support system. Because when he got emotional, which is nothing wrong with being emotional, that shows that you're healed. And you're not so uptight and you that man, well, you can't, let it out. And then you gently touched him. That's your support system. This is what it's about. And so it's really good to see that. And I wish more people would do that.
Yeah.
Because it's not always about the money. I'm glad you got it, but it ain't always about the money.
Yeah.
It's the matter of the heart and where my love stands. This is my love stands for you. I love you in spite of your situation.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to be like that always. If you come together as a unit and build on that thing together, what you lost, you will gain back.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if your foundation is that of God in the first place.
Right.
Yeah.
So you always replace it. You just got to stand firm on what it is that you believe and keep going.
Yeah.
Don't stop. You know what I mean? So that's good. So yeah, we're gonna move on. So you could put that smile back on your face. All right. Okay, so let's see. What's our next question here? Let's see. The next question is that I have. It says, "Do you believe in dating your spouse even after marriage? How important is that to you?"
I think it's very important. I think that it needs to be done on a regular. I think I just mentioned that to Corey. I told Corey, I said, "Babe, can you take me on a date like we used to do, like before we got married? Can you like actually go outside, get in your car, drive around the corner, and pull up in front of our house? Like you don't you don't live here. I'm gonna come outside." Okay, and we're gonna go on a date. I want to feel like we actually dated, like we don't live together. Like pick me up, I'm gonna get dressed, like I'm waiting on you with my music on, and we're gonna go out to eat and whatever else we gonna do. But like, let's just go on a regular date and just sit in the car and just be mesmerized with each other, like like we not even living in the same house. And I just think it's important to recreate those moments. Like sometimes you got to go back and recreate those moments and just put the spark, keep the sparks going.
Pastor say they go out all the time. I was gonna say
without me.
I was gonna say
do not take my daddy with y'all, okay? He has to go.
I definitely think that the dating part is important. I learned a long time ago, that love making start before you hit the bed, right? So essentially, a lot of men after they get married, they just want the woman to just be ready for them and all that. And I know that we still new, but I can honestly say one of the things I don't got to complain about is in that department. My wife can't keep her hands off of me. Okay. And sometimes it's a problem for me because I'm not as ready to go as fast as her. But I think a lot of sometimes I'm like in my brain, like, why is she like this? But I know it's because of the way I treat her.
You got a headache all the time.
Yeah, it's because of the way I treat her. I date my wife. I'm like how she said, I'm covering her. I'm doing all the things that a husband and a man is supposed to do to make their wife happy.
Mm-hmm.
And so that keeps her open. That kind of keeps her
Yeah.
open. So, you know, when I think about that stuff, it's like, okay, one of my friends, when we first got married, he kind of like, I don't know, he kind of told me, he was like, hey man, you messing up by giving her this big wedding. I'm like, what? How? He's like, see, you're starting off all wrong because you giving her all this big old grand thing. That means you got to keep all that same energy going, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to keep that same energy going. And at first, right, I kind of was like, yeah, maybe I am messing up. But then the Holy Spirit said, I actually designed you for this, right? Like God spoke to me, it was like, don't worry about what other people doing in their marriage. You do what I told you to do in your marriage. And so, look, ever since then, I ain't changed. I don't plan on change. I'm gonna treat my wife the way I treat her. And there's people who don't like me for that because they don't honor their wife, but I don't care. You know, though, like sometimes, like right now, me and Crystal, we're like in a weird space because, I'm 41, she's 37, and we don't have kids, but it's like we're like 20s married couple, right? And so it's like all of our friends,
kids.
but like all of our friends have grown kids or got kids, so. You know, sometimes we want to do double dates, but we can't do them because people, like with us, we could do things at the drop of the dime.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's like a weird kind of like funk behind that, right? Because we could kind of do the things, but it's hard to find like the friends to like be around and hang out with as much as we would desire. So it's kind of like I don't have no choice but to be best friends with my wife because she's the only other person I know that's in the same bracket as me, married with no kids. So
yeah, I do understand that. But again, dating is very important, even if you're married, because who this person is now will not be who they are in 10 years. So it's good to get to reconnect with the person that you love at that phase in life. And it also, again, like you said, it brings a little extra into your home, into your relationship. You know, still make her feel as special as she did when you first met her. Still make him feel as special as he did when you first met him. So dating is essential at every stage in marriage. Because you're gonna grow, you're gonna change. He's 41, so he may go through a midlife crisis. So you gotta get ready to, get to know this person on this side. Also, you never know. You never know what's going to happen with her. Things happen, life happens, but you always got to get to reconnect with that person every chance you get. And also, don't be worried about what other people have to say about your marriage. This is your marriage. Mm-hmm. You've already said I do. You all have to be with each other for the rest of your life. So honestly, the only people can provide their opinion and sound advice, but at the end of the day, it's you all's decision as to what you all do within your marriage. You don't have to rush to have children. You're still technically young. You're not 50 or 60 talking about I want to have a baby. No, we don't even do that. You all are still young, still enjoy each other. Enjoy each other. Go travel the world because do what you all do. Have fun. It's all right. Okay, so the next question is: a lot of time, we men and women tend to lose themselves within their relationship. Do you allow the space for each other to just be yourself and have your own individual wants and desires?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
So that's been part of our process. Like I said, we both had our own way of it, and after much prayer, we figured out how we can take our desires and make it one big vision.
Yeah.
It allows her to be her and me to be me, and for us to move in that right direction.
Yeah, because I think that even though you're married and you came together as one, you still have to maintain your individual selves, like your individuality, and then you just bring it together as one. Because if you don't, you will lose who you naturally are, and I don't think marriage would be any fun if we lose who we are naturally. So you want to keep your own individuality and just come together as one. You know, I enjoy my things. I enjoy, like, you know, my beauty things and being an esthetician, and I love who I am as a person. And Corey goes out and he enjoys his basketball and different things that he enjoyed with his friends, and we just come back together and bring it together. And I think that just keeps the marriage going. I think it keeps it lively, because ultimately, if you lose who you are as an individual, it gets boring, and then it doesn't allow you to grow as a person into who the purpose that God made you to grow into. So you have to maintain your own individuality, even though you're married.
Okay, because somebody had that question in the chat, so you actually have a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, having your own personality is important. You don't want a person to conform to you, because you're essentially dating you or you're marrying you.
Exactly.
And a lot of times you don't even like you, so I don't want to be like you know. So you want them to be themselves, and so it's something about a person who is quirky. Like I'm an introvert,
right.
So I can get with a person who is more of an introvert. I'm like, look, let's stay home. Like I'm cool in the house. I ain't gotta be around you. But that person, you know, but they're okay with that, so they do little things that you like to do. But you also find the balance of trying to, you know, doing things that each other likes to do, but they still allow you to be yourself in that moment, and don't try to force all of these extraness on you, you know, because they know it makes you feel just a little bit uncomfortable.
Because that can become, if you're not careful, and if you don't maintain who you are as an individual, and say, for instance, like you said, I'm an introvert. Really, I am an introvert, and Corey is an extrovert. And if I'm not careful and I, you know, don't allow him to be his own individual self, I can become annoying to him as, you know, as his wife, because now I'm trying to, you know, like just flood him with who I am and just be, you know, too clingy or whatever, because I don't have things going on as you know, as an individual. And you don't want that, because now you're causing friction in your marriage. So that's why I think it's very important as wives to have something going on. Even if you a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home wife, find you something extra to do. If you know, like arts and crafts or whatever, because you know you don't want to lose who you are as a person or as an individual, because then you ultimately become boring or, you know, irritating.
Right. Actually, too, like that was actually a challenge of ours, right? Because I'm very extroverted and she's introverted. It was kind of like in the beginning, like Crystal just wanted to spend every waking moment time with me, and I'm like, I want to do something else, and you know, it was like, get off me. I was kind of like that at first, and she was thinking I was rejecting her. It's like, no, I had a life outside of you before we met.
Like, I was like, you just never been loved the way I'm trying to love you.
She was all like, you just never been loved the right way, and all this, that, and the third. It's like, okay, I get that, but I don't feel like I need to stop going to the gym.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I got to stop playing basketball. Like, these are the things I love outside of you. Like, that's healthy, right? And so, like, we had to work through that.
We did. It was a challenge at first.
It was a challenge, like, because she was literally the grips on me. I'm like, hey, I'm not going. I'm just going to the gym. That's it.
Right.
But now I'd be like, okay, babe, are you going anywhere today? Please. I want to sit here. I got this going on. I think that just really comes with just that you know, newlywed, and then you first married and you just excited and whatever. But I think it's natural and normal to feel that way at the beginning.
Yeah, now she be trying to kick me out.
You're right. Now I'd be like
you about to go to the gym because I got a client coming.
Right.
All this is at the third. Oh, what happened to her? You can't keep your hand on.
Okay, so in creating safe places, like we touched on it a little bit earlier. So do you all create a safe space for you to have honest conversation with each other?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sometimes it's not like, it may not be exactly the way we want it to be, because sometimes I feel like when I want to talk, say it's really more so if we are just had an argument or a fight or something. I'm the type of person, I want to talk about it and deal with it right now. Like, I'm like, we're not going to bed, we're not doing nothing. I come in this space like, no, we're going to talk about this right now. But I had to learn as a wife, as Corey's wife, okay, give him some time to have a moment or however, and then we'll discuss it. But ultimately, if we're not having an argument, I can talk to Corey about anything. I just be like, okay, man, I need to have a moment. Let's go talk. Let's go sit on the couch, whatever. I need to express myself, and he's definitely allows me to do that.
Yeah. And then like the one thing that I want to say is we're the one thing that from the very beginning that we've been very, very good about is we respect one another so much to the point that we don't have our tough conversations in public.
Yeah.
None of that.
Good.
Actually, there's been 100% times we in the car arguing on the way to an event, on the way to sometimes church, and when we get to the place, nobody can even tell we ever even was arguing. And then sometimes, depending on what it was, is when we'll be like, yeah, get to the bit. All right, we'll talk about this when we get out of here.
Yeah.
But then we get around everybody and all this and that and come back and like, what was he talking about?
You forget that you even had an argument. Because like for me, I'm more secretive. I'm more quieter than Corey is. Corey is like real open about talking. It could be about the smallest thing. I'm real secretive about it. Like for instance, we was in Jules one time and I think I was looking for ice cream and I took forever to look for ice cream. And Corey like, you still looking for ice cream? And I'm like, yeah, it takes time to find the perfect ice cream. Okay. So then he was like, well, you probably don't need to be eating all that sugar anyway. And I'm like, don't say that in public. I'm like, the man right here probably heard you say that I just eat too much sugar, getting fat, So it's just like, I'm like, you wait till you get in the car and say that I need to stop eating all this sugar. Like, so it's just like, that's another thing, like, you have to learn with each other, like, okay, are you more of a quiet person? Are you more of a secretive person? Like, I feel like me being married to Corey, I've opened up a lot more than how I was in the beginning.
And I'm actually a very, very transparent person.
Yeah.
And Crystal is super just like private. Like, I have like homies that call me for relationship advice or just advice in general. And that's like an opportunity to minister to people, right? And so I use my life a whole lot to like encourage people. And Crystal, when we first met, that bothered her. I was like, I'm not like, I'm very selective about that. You know what I'm trying to say? But with her, she like super 100% not sharing anything. I'm like, well, babe, like sometimes that's not good. Like the Bible actually says we overcome by the words of our testimony. So sometimes you got to share your testimony to encourage somebody. You don't even want to share that.
Right. I used to be like, don't tell my business. That's my business. If I want to share it, I'll share it.
Right.
Yeah, so I had to learn to open up just a little bit more in that area.
Good. So we're almost done with the questions, but I want to play just a little game with you all. It's the game of who.
Okay?
The game of who?
The game of who.
Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and get started with that. So who fell in love first?
He did.
Who said I love you first? Okay. Who was the first to say I'm sorry?
I think I say I'm sorry first. That's me.
Yeah, I would say it's her.
You would say her, okay. Who's the most organized?
Me.
Now, I'm not a slob or nothing, but Crystal is OCD with cleanliness. Yeah.
It's all right. You're all right with me, girl.
Listen, when my mom was alive, she used to tell me the reason why I don't have a wife is because I'm very anal and I'm very this is not a third or whatever. You got to be with you a woman that's just as anal as you are or more. And she's definitely way more anal than I am.
Who's the best cook?
He is.
Who takes the most selfies?
Me. Well, I don't know.
No,
I don't know.
It's her.
Okay, well, who takes longer to get ready?
Me.
Okay, and the final question, and you answer separately. If you had to put each other to a song, what would that song be and why?
I would have to say, We've Only Just Begun. We've only just begun. The romance is not over.
Oh, you're doing the black version. My head went right over to the other.
Got a lot of love to give.
I got my song. I'm not about to sing because I'm not a singer.
I'm not a singer either.
I'm not. The song is this song by Isaac Curry. It's called Her. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Ain't playing it on YouTube.
I'm gonna play it. This the song.
Like, don't play too much of it. They're going to cut us off.
Right. All right. Yeah, they gonna cut you off now on Instagram.
Oh. But yeah, it's Her. The Isaac Curry Her.
Yeah, that's actually a beautiful song. I remember when I first heard it. It was like, yes, this man is pouring his heart out to his wife on this song. So yeah.
Yeah, I like the part where he says, because he's talking about scripture, when a man finds a wife, he finds a good thing. And I definitely found a good thing in Crystal. So yeah, that song really touched my heart and reminds me a lot of her.
That's good. So we are at the end of our interview. I have enjoyed you all.
We had a good time with you too.
Thank you. I'm so glad you all were able to pour your hearts out on here and have honest conversation with each other and with everybody else. It has been an absolute pleasure talking to you. It really has.
Thank you.
I don't have anything else to say outside of that. Did you all have any last words that you would like to say?
I would just like to say, to everybody, like whether you married or single, or if you're married and you're planning to be married, like no matter what obstacles come your way or come in your marriage, stick it out. Like I think that's like one of the main things that I will always tell people. You got to have that sticking power because things gonna hit you. Things are going to hit you. Life is going to happen, and you have to have that ability to remain as a team, stay strong together, have that ability to say, no matter what, we making this happen. We're not going to let nothing stop us. We're not going to let nothing discourage us. No matter what hit us, we sticking this thing out together, and we going to stay one unit as a team. And I would just encourage people, if if you're planning to be married, gain you some sticking power first, because you're going to definitely have to have that, because that's what's going to let you know if you can sustain through it all. So just be encouraged and stay strong and remain to be a team, be on one accord, rock with each other, rock together. That's what I would say.
I to piggyback off of that, the sticking power, I feel like some of that could come before you even get married. Ultimately, the reason why I was really able to move so fast with Crystal is it was things like I was doing to prepare to get a wife before I met her, right? Like I've been married several other times before and had several failed relationships, and I was just like in this space like, what am I doing wrong? Like I'm doing things your way, God. Waiting to get married, I get married, boom, get a divorce. Yeah. Waiting to get married, boom, get a divorce. And I literally took some time to myself. I was like, all right, well, one of the things I'm doing is I don't even take time to even heal at all from some of these situations. And so I took time to like heal or get enough healing in my life. I started to pray and ask God who I am as a person. I started figuring out who I was as a person and figure out what it is that he created me to do. And once I learned what my purpose in life was and started discovering who I was, then I was actually able to choose better candidates to date and all that and pick my spouse properly. And so I was picking my spouse from a place of not knowing who I was as a man and not really knowing the direction I wanted to go in. And so this time around, I did a lot of things different in my singleness. I prepared to be able to properly lead my wife. And when I was dating Crystal, I also asked the right questions to be able to discern.
We talked about a lot of stuff.
I was able to discern, like, okay, life is going to happen, right? Because there's going to be different seasons in your marriage. So I want a woman that's going to stick by my side. So I discerned properly in our dating process that she was going to be loyal to me and me because she was attracted to me and not to what I had. And so that is what I understood, that when the test of marriage come around, we would pass it. I understood that way before we even got into the moments of being tested. So for me, I just want to encourage people with that same advice. While you're single, that's the best time actually to prepare yourselves to be married and so you can come into it with a solid foundation, because the marriage is actually going to get tested, especially if it's one that's ordained by God. The enemy going to do everything he can to try to destroy it, to tear it apart and everything like that. Like the Bible says, how can two walk together except they agree? So there must be the power of agreement from the beginning. Because if it's no agreement, the enemy gonna do everything he can to pick it apart. So if you leave something on the table for him to pick it apart, he's gonna be able to pick it apart. So like you can't do nothing about the trials and tribulations that's gonna come. But if you actually prepared yourself and got a solid foundation, those trials and stuff won't be able to tear you apart. So that's all I gotta say about that.
That was good. You all said a lot, but it was good, and I hope you all actually enjoyed it. I hope that you all got something from it. I hope that you two can grow from even just this conversation that you had, and you may have additional conversation after you get off. And it's just about starting the conversation. I do pray the blessing of God over you all, and I pray that what you all have, that it just continues to grow. And as long as you keep this foundation, you all, nothing is limitless, for you all, and it'll just be bountiful. I don't know how else to say it, but you all, I see good things for you all.
Thank you.
And just keep talking to each other, keep loving on each other, and allow God to keep that hedge around you all together. And as long as you do that, all will be well, no matter what happens. All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, and I want to thank everybody for joining me this week. I'll be back next Friday with the new couple for Relationship Friday. I'll be back on here at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And until then, I love you all, and I will talk to you later.
Good night. Love y'all.
See you, everyone.